Good evening. Welcome to this regular scheduled meeting of the Normal Public Schools Board of Education. Ms. Sasser, will you please call the roll?
Jericho Parent.
Here.
Dan Snell.
Here.
Cindy Nasher. Here. Chad Weiss. Here. Linda Sexton.
Will you please stand and join me in pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Milner, can you tell us about our renewable energy resolution, please?
Sir. Mr. President, members of the board, Dr. Villarino. As you are well aware, our energy conservation program in Norman Public Schools, which has really yielded over $3 million in cost avoidance. You also are aware of our OEC partnership with the construction of the solar farm, which is currently under construction. With the completion of that, in addition to the solar panels, we'll actually have a renewable science education center there for students to visit, to learn more about electricity careers and other related fields. And of course, as you are well aware, we have taken advantage on numerous occasions with the OG&E offer incentives to replace all fluorescent bulbs with our new high efficiency LED bulbs. In fact, we've just finished Lincoln and we'll be finishing Truman Elementary this week. So it only makes good sense for tonight to bring to you this renewable energy resolution as a symbol of the ongoing commitment to energy conservation across our district. And with us here tonight, and I'll have her come up in a little bit, is Sarah Chan with the Solar Schools Norman, who has been a great advocate for this program and our efforts moving forward. So with that, I will read the resolution, ask that the board take action on that. And upon your approval, Mr. O'Hara, I have a document here for you to sign. If you would come down to sign it, and we'll take some photos of that. Whereas Norman Public Schools is a leader in reform and innovation, a good steward of public funds, environmentally conscious and strategic, focused in thought and action, let it be known that the Norman Public Schools will continue efforts towards increasing the use of abundant, affordable, clean, and renewable energy. And whereas Norman Public Schools can continue to seek cost reductions for pursuing energy efficiency measures at all existing physical structures, and whereas Norman Public Schools can continue efforts to maximize efficiency, pursue efficiency, upgrade, and potentially reduce the total amount of electricity needed through fiscally sound renewable energy sources, and whereas solar installations provided an education opportunity for students and educators for daily teaching and learning as it enhances authentic, hands-on learning in the STEM fields, and whereas the renewable energy is an emerging but rapidly growing industry and presents economic opportunity for local job creation, and whereas clean energy improves air quality and solar installations improve public health by reducing environmental impacts such as air and water pollution. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Norman Board of Education agrees to consider additional fiscally responsible renewable energy options at district-owned schools and properties when possible. Furthermore, the Norman Board of Education will continue efforts to enhance energy efficiency and consider the adoption of affordable energy options as they become available. So with that, I would ask for the board's approval of this resolution as read.
I move we approve the resolution.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Ms. Sasser?
Jericho Parent.
Yes.
Dan Snell.
Yes.
Cindy Nasher. Yes. Chad Weiss.
Yes.
Linda Sexton. Yes.
All right. With that, Mr. Hare, I would ask for your signature.
Mr. Harris, you go down, I do want to make a comment. Doing something like this is not something that you can do alone. Justin mentioned the efforts we're trying to make across the district, but those efforts, we could not do them if it wasn't for all the partners that step up and provide opportunities for us, whether it's OEC or others. Just truly appreciate those opportunities. Also, through our bonds, we're able to bring in more efficient resources as well. So thanks to all of our sponsors, thanks to the community for us giving us the ability to do this. And now we're taking some photos.
Larry and Sarah, can you come up? Why don't you hold it with him? How about that? Put you guys in the middle.
And this is more of on, she's the co-sponsor of Students for Soccer.
Absolutely. Chad, how are you doing? You want to take a picture of it or do that?
I'm beaming. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you so much.
You guys want to take it, read it?
I would
Just give it back to us.
I'm gonna take pictures.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Great job, guys.
Thank you.
Next agenda item is public communications. We welcome public comment, however, it is necessary to limit public comment to 3 minutes per person. You'll be given a 1-minute warning prior to the end of the 3-minute period. Board members cannot respond to questions or comments during public communications. Yvonne DeSieber.
Hi, so I'm Yvonne DeSieber and I'm representing a group called Later Gators. We named our group because Norman Public School had gators that needed to be changed into masks so that they are usable for our students. So I got the first 120, 10% of what we were given tonight that I'm pretty excited because it takes a while to make a mask. They are now 3 layers instead of just 1. So 2 layers of synthetic mask and 1 layer of cotton. They're also a very soft elastic that currently would go around the head. But the elastic can be clipped and retied so that it goes around the ears, depending on what the student wants. So I was just kind of excited to get this far. And I thought it was interesting to note that we have about 12 people working on this. 6 are community members. The other 6 are retired fax teachers. I'm just very proud of that fact. One of those fax teachers is actually my former fax teacher, who didn't teach in this district, but still. If it's okay with everyone, I know that you're not allowed to comment, but if it's okay, I will just begin distribution at schools, if that's okay. I think that's all. I didn't even need 3 minutes.
And I will comment, I'll let you, since you're talking about distribution, just connect with Justin Melmer right here to the left of this.
Oh, I'm sorry, Paul.
About distribution of those kind of things, just work with him.
Okay,
Okay.
I will. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cynthia Rogers.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Rogers. I'm a parent of 2 Norman High seniors, go Tigers. And I'm a OU professor of economics, and I study a lot on transparency in governance. And so on the little card said I had to comment, say what items I'm talking about, and I would like to comment on additional agenda items, in particular the ones that are action items. Now, if you note on the statement about public comments, it says that the board will not respond to comments and questions asked. And I'm invited, the public is invited to give comments on action items, but the public has no way of knowing the specifics of these items until the presentations are given. So this just looks like this is an exercise in futility. Comment on the things we're going to talk about and vote about, but you have no information about that. I I have to watch the presentation, but then I can't make comments or even provide feedback ahead of time. So I'm asking that when there are action items and presentations and materials that are going to be discussed, if you truly want input, that I would ask that you provide these or make them available somewhere so that feedback could be given, if that's the intent. The other thing I would ask is that if I wanted to get the minutes of this meeting, I don't have to fill out an open records request to get the minutes of the meeting or any of the presentations that are given. That's a waste of resources for your people, and it's a waste of people's time. It makes it really hard to see what was happening at the meetings. So I'm asking for more transparency so people can keep up with what's going on. They can't show up in real time at the meetings, and particularly if they don't want to in COVID time. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Snell, I'll be taking over the meeting.
Yes, I'd like to ask, pose a motion to approve of routine business, items 5A through O as listed in the agenda.
Yes, I make a motion to accept the purchase orders and approve the consent docket items 5A through 5O as listed below and in the agenda.
I thought I was making a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
You can make a motion?
I believe I can.
I did not know.
So, parliamentarian, anybody? No.
I thought that's why I had listed
It's okay. I believe it
in
has
so
been
let's
entered
make all the other ones.
into the record.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a discussion of any of these items? I guess okay. Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Dan Snell,
Yes.
Cindy Nelson,
Yes.
Chad Weiss,
Yes.
Linda Sexton.
All right, thank you. So additional agenda items, construction contracts for Cleveland and Roosevelt. I assume this is Miller. Thank you. This is great.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Members of the board, we have with us again Mike Leary. So he's appearing on the screen as we speak via Zoom. Mike, again, is with Bolt Construction, and tonight he's going to be presenting what would be number 7 and 8 with the bids for Cleveland and Roosevelt, and then we'll ask for your action this evening with regards to that. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mike.
Thank you. Appreciate everyone giving me the opportunity to join you guys this evening, especially via Zoom. Makes my life a little easier. I'll work to share my screen here and present the bid results for Cleveland and Roosevelt Elementaries. As Mr. Miller just indicated, those are projects number 7 and 8. With the elementary projects that Bolt Construction is overseeing, we bid these 2 jobs out together, both Cleveland and Roosevelt. Just a brief description: Cleveland Elementary, it's getting a new library addition and interior renovations of the existing library, converting that into 2 new music rooms, as well as 2 additional classrooms being added to the interior of the school, and some classroom renovations to the existing classrooms. Roosevelt Elementary, we added an additional music room and corridor upgrades that will connect that new music room to the existing building. And we were upgrading the health clinic with 2 new ADA compliant bathrooms. This, much like the other projects that we bid out, we did offer contractors the option to either bid them separately or combined. This yielded a minimal savings, but it does provide us with the opportunity that some larger contractors are willing to look at them as a combined project and hopefully draw on some additional bidders to the work. These 2 schools, we averaged about 2.5 bidders per bid package. As always, we're hoping for more, but we did have some pretty good coverage in some key areas. Again, this is an overview of Cleveland. You can see here off item number 1 in the blue is the new library addition. The areas indicated in 2 is where the old library is and will be converted to the 2 new music rooms. Items 3 are the additional classrooms that are going to be added into the interior space. And the number 4s indicate the areas where we're doing classroom upgrades. Roosevelt Elementary, 1 is where this new music classroom is going to be added to the school. The area in orange that's next to the number 2, that's the connecting corridor that will connect that new room to the existing space. And 3 are health clinic upgrades. So below here are the bid results. This is part of your board meeting backup. So we'll just kind of scroll through these a bit. We did have some good coverage. We did only receive 1 concrete bidders number this go around, which again, we'd like to see more. We had commitments from 2 other subcontractors that were going to give us pricing, but due to some office shortages on one company due to COVID and another contractor whose primary estimator went down with COVID, we did not receive those bids. However, that 1 bid that we did receive has won several other projects with us, and we do feel confident in their number. And again, we've gone through and vetted these. Many of these are contractors that are currently under contract with us to do work on some of the previous elementary schools that we bid. So again, we feel confident with these bidders being not only the low bidder, but also qualified and competent to do the project and provide some more upgrades to the district when it comes to your elementary schools. Unlike our other schools, these were not storm shelters, so these are purely additional space being added to the schools. So, continue to scroll through here. And again, these are a lot of the same subs that we've seen previously. So we are encouraged that we're getting recurring bidders looking back to come back and get more work here across the district. That being said, those are the bid results, and I'll be more than happy to answer or field any questions that you guys want to send my way.
Is there a motion?
Thank you very much. A motion to approve the bid packages is presented and the award of construction contracts for Cleveland Elementary and Roosevelt Elementary as presented.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Is there a discussion or questions about this? So we're still within budget, I think.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Love to hear that. Hearing no questions, could the clerk call the roll?
Dan Snow,
Yes.
Cindy Nasher,
Yes.
Chad Dyke,
Yes.
Linda Sexton,
All right, thank you. Mr. Moore.
Yeah, so the next item requires your action. Typically, you have the guaranteed maximum price, GMP amendments in the preceding board meeting agenda, but the timing of the bids for this, the due diligence has already been wrapped up on these 2 items, as Mike mentioned, and so therefore we are able to actually bring you tonight for Cleveland and Roosevelt the actual revised GMP. So would ask for your approval on that document.
I make a motion to approve the guaranteed maximum price amendments between Norman Public Schools and the Bull Company for Cleveland Elementary and Roosevelt.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, clerk call the roll, please.
Dan Snow,
Yes.
Cindy Nasher,
Yes.
Chad Dyke,
Yes.
Linda Sexton,
It passes, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, the calendar committee has been at work, I hear from Stephanie. Holly, what can you tell us?
Mr. Vice President, members of the board, Dr. Miliarino, we have been at work and we're actually working forward now. We've brought you lots of revisions, obviously, for this year's calendar with everything going on. But now we're looking actually at the 22-23 calendar, and what we always do prior to working on the 2 years out calendar, we always review the upcoming year calendar. You approved the original version of this calendar last December, but again, we always like to see what's gone on in the interim to see if we need to bring revisions. So this would be a request for an initial revision based on feedback that the calendar committee has gotten. They would ask that we are able to extend our Thanksgiving break from 3 days, which has long been the norm in Norman, to 5 days of Thanksgiving break. I think it was quite advantageous that they were gaining feedback as people were on a 5-day Thanksgiving break. It was overwhelmingly approved that our staff, all personnel, would like that time again next school year if possible. In addition, we have been able to add, just last year, a day at the end of winter break, which is a non-student teacher workday, where our teachers can come in, they can finish up grading from first semester and get ready for second semester. Again, our certified staff has really enjoyed having that time, and that was not on the original calendar, so we would also ask in this revision that we are able to add that day, that teacher workday, on January 3rd. And just so you know, where we moved the jigsaw around to gain all of that, we will start school on a Tuesday rather than a Thursday. So there's your 2 days extra at Thanksgiving. And we moved, we were ending our school year on a Thursday. That last week in May, we will have an additional instructional day on that Friday, just finish out that week, which gives us the opportunity to have January 3rd as a non-student day. I will be back in January and will present to you the 22-23 calendar. They weren't ready. They wanted to get more input and feedback. They had a wealth of it at our meeting last week, but still a lot of unanswered questions, lots of things they would like, and really trying to prioritize what we can do within the confines of state requirements. This calendar that I have here for revision this evening, 175 days of student instruction, 182 days of teachers on contract, which is what we need. And we have to meet that 1,080 hours, which you always requested us as we work in hours. And we are over that on this calendar. We have 1,129 hours. So that also gives us the opportunity to bank hours, minutes, in case of the unpredicted October ice storm or any other emergency events that occur.
I make a motion to approve the 2021-2022 calendar revisions as presented.
Second.
Discussion? All right, so only 2 snow-esque days, huh?
2 that I've listed on here, but we actually have on this particular calendar up to 7 that we banked in minutes. So before we would ever have to use the 2 that I've designated on here.
Yeah, okay. Other discussion? Harping? No. Clerk call the roll.
Dan Snell,
Yes.
Cindy Natcher,
Yes.
Chad Bice,
Yes.
Linda Sexton.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Board of Education policy revisions, 3,007 and 4,001.
I was wondering if Dr. Beck was going to join me.
He is going to join
There's
me.
9 coming up here.
Good evening, Vice President, Board Members, Dr. Mallory. It is our pleasure, Dr. Beck and I, to bring to you a new standalone Title IX policy this evening. And because we're talking about Title IX, just a quick reminder that Mrs. Nettles is our district Title IX coordinator, and Dr. Beck and I are pleased to be the deputy Title IX coordinator for the district. And we take this position, that responsibility, very seriously, and want to just share for informational purposes only tonight some different things and the reason why we need to move to a standalone Title IX policy. There are new federal rules and regulations that warrant a standalone policy that is just for sexual harassment, sexual discrimination. And this new policy that we have created that we're introducing tonight includes the new OCR guidelines as well as Oklahoma State Department of Education mandates. It also brings clarity to our current Title IX grievances and our investigation processes. So you have the entire proposed policy in your backup documentation. for you to review. I just want to hit a few highlights this evening, and Dr. Beck, jump in if I miss something. First, it defines sexual discrimination and sexual harassment to include 3 different types of misconduct on the basis of sex or gender, all of which jeopardize equal access to education. And that's the key. Does it jeopardize equal access to education? This new policy outlines reporting, including a new rule or procedure, that includes a formal written complaint that's required for the actual Title IX process to be initiated. And that doesn't mean we wouldn't address something if there was not a formal complaint, because we absolutely would address it for the conduct as well as interim measures, but for the formal Title IX process, it does require a written complaint, and that's in our new policy. Under the investigation procedures, the district does have the burden of proof and gathering the evidence, and it will also be adequate, reliable, impartial, and proceed in a timely manner. The timely manner is also a change. It used to be 60 days, and now it's as expedient as we possibly can make it. But if there are delays out of our control, like maybe possibly a law enforcement investigation, we have that before. Also new is a timeline hearing for K-12 school districts, and we have the option of written exchanges, and that's what we've opted to do in this new policy. And so instead of a live hearing, we would have a written hearing. And if there is an appeal, they'll have to meet a certain criteria. Cannot be if either party is not happy with the results or don't agree with the findings. There has to be certain criteria for it to meet, and that process would begin with the superintendent. Again, this is for informational only. We'll be bringing this back in January and ask for the board to take action. Adopting this new policy would result in amending several current policies that we have in place. And that is my presentation, Dr. Beck. Did I leave anything out? It is an action item? I'm so sorry.
It is.
I thought it was for information.
We're all looking at each other going, yeah.
Well,
We brought this a while back as an initial review, and this is the cleaned up
Oh, I'm
version.
so sorry.
That's okay. You just threw us
I would
all
like to
into a
ask the board to
scurry.
take action on that.
But that's okay. It is, before we do
This is
that,
not like a public mistake.
not public at all, online or anywhere. That's absolutely okay. I will say I want to thank Holly, Scott, Holly, Stephanie for the work they've been doing and the collaboration they've had to go through to bring our Title IX policy up to date. It was very lacking, and now we feel very comfortable with where it is. It's not only accurate and up to date, but actually it gives us the ability to serve students and families in the best way. So thank you for your work.
So I'd like the board to please, if you have any questions, Dr. Beck and I, especially Dr. Beck, who may have that information, I'm willing to answer any questions you may have.
Motion to approve the revisions in Board of Education Policy 3007 and Policy 4001 as presented.
Second. Any other discussion? Questions? No? Okay.
Yeah, he left.
So we'll wrap it up.
Cindy Nasher,
Yes.
Chad Body,
Yes.
Linda Sexton.
And Dr. Snow will return.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Holly. Thanks for the moment of levity. It was great.
All right, next up we have Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion District Update by Stephanie Wood.
Well, good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Milderino. I am happy to be here this evening to cast a vision and discuss the journey that we are taking in the area of DEI. So why a journey? A journey represents traveling from one place to the next, and it also represents action. And so as with any journey, there will be important stops, detours, and of course, opportunities for growth along the way. But on this DEI journey, there are 5 important questions that we must ask and be able to answer. And those questions are, who are we? Where have we been? Where are we going? How will we get there? And then probably the most important one is, how will we sustain and measure our progress along the way? So to answer and speak to the who are we, I've included some demographic data from the 2019-2020 school year. We serve 16,289 students. 51.4% received free or reduced lunch. 18% received special education services and support. 9.1% were bilingual, and 31.3% of our students were gifted. On this next slide, I've included some race and ethnicity demographic data. So I've included the data for last year, fiscal year 20, and in addition, I've also included this year's race and ethnicity data for students, teachers, and administrators, and I did that for a couple of reasons. The first one is because I really wanted to be able to show that although we have had a slight decrease in our student enrollment for this year, you can see that our percentages across those three groups have stayed pretty consistent. And then the second reason is to really look at the demographic makeup of our administrators and teachers, and we see that it's not necessarily representative of our student demographics. And so I'll speak to this a little bit more in my presentation, but I know we all know that representation matters, and so that of course is going to be an important goal and focus for us as we move forward. So where have we been? So in 2016, the district created a task force, and that was focused on really improving the climate and culture of our schools, which included a variety of internal and external stakeholders. And of course, through that work, specific recommendations came in several areas, and one of those was improving diversity among the districts. In 2019, after many conversations with Superintendent Migliorino regarding moving the district to the next level in the DEI work, because of course this has been a personal goal of his, I was asked to chair the Diversity Enrichment Council, and that was formed with the purpose of continuing to foster work in the area of diversity and inclusion with a laser focus on creating actionable and sustainable recommendations. So of course our first goal for the council was to really come up with our purpose statement. And that purpose statement is what we use to guide the work that we were doing in this area. And I want to speak, our purpose statement is here, but I want to speak to some more specifics regarding the council. The council is composed of a racially and ethnically diverse group of stakeholders, ranging from teachers, principals, counselors, and other community members. Our Board of Education president and vice president also serve on the council, and we have been fortunate to have 3 of you serve on the council, as well as our superintendent. This year, we've also added parent and student reps to the council. Believe it's really important to make sure that we have lots of different perspectives when we're talking about this work. So the council's role is, it's the place that we bring ideas, we discuss, we're creative, and we come up with innovative solutions. And then we work to figure out how we're going to get there. So the council really is serving as that think tank in the area of DEI work. The council had 3 areas of focus, and those 3 areas of focus are professional development, so that ongoing training and support for our staff. So in areas of race and bias, cultural awareness, equity for all, among other areas. Marketing and recruitment, so this is that recruitment and retention piece of individuals with diverse backgrounds and those who truly embody our values, and then also ensuring that our district truly reflects the students that we serve. And equity and inclusion practices, which is really focusing on creating and implementing those strategies, procedures, and policies that focus on inclusivity and equity for all. Last year, the council finalized 27 recommendations, and 15 of those, over 50%, are either fully implemented currently or in the process of being implemented. So I am very proud of the work the council has done and continues to do. So going forward, the council is educating and informing ourselves and others, and providing that consistent support and accountability. So we talk about where are we going. So in my role as executive director of DEI, one of my top focus areas is to cast that clear vision to ensure that everyone's on the same page with what this work looks like, what it sounds like, and what it feels like. So we started focusing on common language and understanding. So really defining diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we really started that at our leadership level because we believe that that's very important and it starts at the top. And I'm currently working with the council on creating a DEI strategic plan. And that plan is to really establish direction. So what you see on this slide are some specific steps that we are currently taking, but I want to speak to several of these briefly. So virtual thought sessions, those happened in the summer, and the virtual thought sessions were in June, and those were for district administrators, and it was really a way to have some authentic, meaningful conversation just about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Our listening sessions with site administration, curriculum coordinators, and directors. These are the one-on-one conversations that I'm having with each of these individuals to really talk about their goals and the district goals moving forward in each of their areas and at their school sites. And then the one that I've been most excited about is in November, of course, NPS Leadership and Board of Education participated in our first diversity training, A World of Difference. And in addition to that, in October, our admin and instructional staff participated in a training called Factuality. And Factuality was a virtual demonstration that really, and it was facilitated, and it really focused on culture or on more of an awareness of those systemic inequities that exist. NPS Recruitment Cadre, another one that I'm excited about. In partnership with my amazing colleague, Mrs. Holly Nevels, we are co-chairing the first recruitment cadre. And this recruitment cadre is a small group of diverse and dynamic Norman Public Schools employees, and their focus is really that intentionality in terms of that marketing and recruitment that I spoke to on the earlier slide. Policy review, of course, is going to be a huge aspect of my position as well. So not only reviewing existing policy, but reviewing any other new policy updates or revisions that need to happen to really make sure we don't have any gaps and that we don't have any bias, and addressing those if needed. In our library audits for more inclusive literature, so our Director of Instructional Technology and Media Services, Amanda Kordelsky, has done amazing work with our librarians with doing those audits to really ensure that our libraries reflect the students that we serve. And then I want to talk to the curriculum assessment piece from a DEI lens, because this piece is so very important. All of our students benefit from seeing and experiencing curriculum that offers diverse perspectives. So we should be holding space within our classrooms for all of those students, and what that means is that they need to be able to see themselves represented in the curriculum, which means posters, textbooks, and other instructional materials in a positive light. So that brings us to the how. How will we get there? So the path we take matters. We will be focused on providing ongoing targeted professional development along with implementation of systems that are equitable and inclusive. However, we really must go deeper if we're trying to achieve that inclusive excellence. So there will be a strong focus on the culture aspect of this work. So that's the relationships, the identity, the information. And this can be informal one-on-ones. It can happen in our PLC and our leadership team conversations, our administrative team meetings, but it's really about that connection. And we are all lifelong learners, and in the words of Maya Angelou, when we know better, we do better. So as we move through our journey, it's important to remember and note that it's a process. This is not checklist work. So understanding that individuals will also be at different stages, and that is okay. This graphic speaks to the levels of change for our DEI work, but I really want to highlight a few specific words that speak to the action: discussion, building capacity, commitment, professional development, goal setting, monitoring, fully integrated, champions, accountability, reflected, and embedded. And so we know that if we are doing those things when it comes to our DEI work, we will progress and achieve the sustainability that we want. So I look forward to continuing to bring updates on how we're doing in all of these areas. And while this work speaks to our district's value of inclusiveness, we know that it also embodies all of our other values as well. So I'm excited for all of the possibilities as we work together as an NPS community to live out these values in the area of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And in closing, I would like to thank all of you, the board, for not just being supportive of this journey, but also being active and present participants. Thank you, and I'm here for any questions.
Thank you. I know that we are all excited, and the administration has worked hard, especially you, but we are very proud of what's happening here, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
And I want to thank you, Stephanie, for the work. I remember the years back in our conversations, and it has been a goal of mine to get this going in our district. It's much needed. My thoughts back in 1994 when I was a teacher and coach at Irving Middle School. But I just really appreciate the work. One of the, non-negotiable points of this was anything we do with this work has to be sustainable. It has to be bigger than anyone sitting at this boards in these board seats. It has to be bigger than me. It has to be bigger than you. It has to be something those people who come behind us have a very solid foundation to build upon. So appreciate your work and your focus on that as well.
Thank you.
All right. Any new business?
No new business.
How about administrative staff?
I do have a couple of things I want to address. I appreciate it. Members of the board, I want to begin by taking a moment to thank all of our health professionals working at each of our sites. Beth Roberson and her team have been working tirelessly to serve all of our students over the past many months, and I feel it's really important that we publicly recognize their work. And also want to say, beginning today, they started administering site COVID testing. So those who are RNs have been trained to provide that testing within our schools to our staff. I also want to thank Mr. Milner, who volunteered to go on video with a nose swab to show people that it can be done. Yeah. So if you need that video shared with you directly, all you need to do is ask. And we can share that widely, but that's right. Yeah, it only took 4 takes. So, but in all seriousness, our health professionals under the lead of Beth have done incredible work. So I wanted to publicly address the work they've been doing. Also, last week it was great to get out and attend basketball games at both of our high schools. Having the ability to watch our students participate and compete was a lot of fun. I want to say I'm really pleased and appreciative of the fans that attended those games. Both students and visitors were, for the most part, incredibly compliant, actually totally compliant. This week, I also look forward to seeing our students in the fine arts perform. So a lot of good things going on, and I need to thank T.D. O'Hara and Dr. Brad Benson, along with their teaching and coaching staffs, for the hard work they're putting in to give our students and families these opportunities. So really important, but just seeing the excitement in the faces of the kiddos and their families, the coaches, it's just great. And once again, I look forward to all those opportunities. Also, over the last 2 weeks plus, I've had the opportunity to visit with over half of our staff as I've gone around and visited sites and attended faculty meetings and other meetings. And I have to say, I am incredibly impressed by the work being done at our sites. Teachers, site administrators are working hard, real hard, to provide the best educational opportunities they can for all of our families and our students. And as I've said many times, this is a time which we need to exhibit grace for everyone. And in this case, I want to expound on that, and that when I say exhibit grace, I'm not only talking about teachers to students, I'm talking about students to teachers, teachers to teachers, teachers for themselves, but also parents to teachers. And that's something I want to talk a little bit more about, because our teachers right now have been put in a position to do something they've never dreamt of doing, never thought about, never been trained, and they are working hard with the high expectations the teachers of Norman Public Schools have, and this hand everybody has been dealt. They're struggling. They are struggling because their expectations for themselves are so high. They want to deliver the best to our students and families, and it's really, really tough. So this is, I know our teachers are working hard for our students and our families, but if you're a parent out there, if you're a community member, and you want to give a shout out to a teacher. Give a shout out to the work they are doing in the classes every day so that our kids can attend school every day. And also, if you want to step up and help, sign up. See Ms. Nevels, we'll get you signed up to come in and help. But please, please, please understand the work that all our teachers are doing is tough. It's real easy to be critical. It's real hard to be forgiving and deliver grace. And that's what I ask everybody to do for each other so that we can move forward in the best interest of all that we serve. With that said, I do want to address one more thing, which is the most common question I receive, whether it's an email or site visits, is around the Oklahoma State Department of Health map and why we're following it. Our district and board decided in September to follow a map created by health professionals and to use it as just one of the criteria we look at for making decisions for Norman Public Schools. Consistency was what we were asked to deliver, and we're doing that. And although this map's guidance has changed, so has the guidance and recommendations on other maps, I want to make it incredibly clear that this map is not the only data point we look at as we monitor the impact of COVID in the Norman Public Schools. We continue to follow state and local maps and data, but most importantly, we use our internal data to assist us with decisions, data regarding positive cases as well as those quarantines. If we need to make a decision, regardless of whether a map is red or orange or green, we will do so on a site-by-site basis. In a district of our size, where the health department has confirmed that we do not have community spread, in our schools we must continue to look at schools individually rather than a blanket, the district as a whole. If our ability to do that changes based on community spread in our schools, we will flex in our response. I just wanted to answer that question again publicly so it's clear. The Oklahoma State Department map is a statewide source of information, but we use several sources of local information and school-specific information with regard to continuing our in-person or traditional instruction. Going back to our teachers, I thank them for the work they're doing so that we can do this. That's my report.
Thank you, Dr. Reno, and I support you. I appreciate those comments. Any Board of Education? All right.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Cindy Netcher?
Yes.
Josh Wright?
Yes.
Linda Sexton?
Yes.
Last regularly scheduled board meeting of 2020. Yes.